Welcome to the Miami Jewish Film Festival, the world's largest festival of its kind. We want to thank, first of all of our members, our sponsors, our community partners, all of you, our film lovers, and especially our presenting sponsors, the Center for the Advancement of Jewish Education and the Greater Miami Jewish Federation for their continued support throughout all these years. My name is Joy Chandler, and I am the Director of Early Childhood and Congregation Education here at SAGE, the Center for the Advancement of Jewish Education. And I am so privileged and excited to be moderating a virtual conversation with director and writer of the beautiful film Adam and Ida. He is Jan Tenhaven, supremely talented, and I can't wait for all of us to hear from him. Thank you so much for joining us and for viewing this beautiful film. First of all, Jan, thank you for bringing this to life, this story to life. And my first question is, how did you find out about this story? And why did it touch you so that you decided to make a movie?
Well, yeah. Hi. First of all, thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to screen our film here at the Miami Jewish Film Festival. Yeah, what a great privilege. I didn't find the story myself. I first heard of it through my colleague Tilman Müller, who's also a co-writer of the film, and he's a print journalist working for a big German magazine. And 7 years ago, he did a story about hidden children in Poland, and somehow he came across Adam and Ida's story, and he did a story about them, which was published here in Germany 7 years ago. But Tillman was so captured by this story and so moved by it, and he became actually friends with Adam and Ida, and he always had the dream of making a documentary about it. And so this is where I came into play. And then it took quite a few years to make this film. We had lots of conversations, lots of talks with Adam and Ida. Yeah, it was a long journey.
And so are you specifically a documentary filmmaker? This is your niche. How did he find you? Why did he think you'd be so right for this work, this special work?
Well, he found me through a colleague. I mean, Tillman is a great journalist. He has been a correspondent in Paris, in New York, but he has nothing to do with film. But he has as a friend, a good friend, and she knows me quite well, and she knows that I'm sort of specialized. Well, I only do documentaries, that's right, but I do all sorts of subjects. And the only common grounds that all my films have is people. So I'm really interested in people and telling stories of people and their life stories, no matter what the subject is. It can be science, it can be history. And lately, for some reason, I sort of focus a lot of Holocaust issues and stories. And yeah, so, and this friend, this mutual friend, she knows about it, knows about me, and then she made the contact. Yeah, and this is how it all started.
Yes. So this is a story of Polish children. And where do you live? Do you live in Germany?
I live in Berlin, yes. So
Uh-huh.
very close to Poland.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
And has this movie been shown to Polish audiences, German audiences, and what is their reaction? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Right, yes. We had a premiere. The world premiere was at the Jewish Film Festival in Berlin in summer 2002, and we had like 3 screenings, and Ida came. She came all the way from Chicago, which was a great privilege, because initially she said she would never set foot into Germany after all what happened. So when she came, that was like a miracle for us, and she enjoyed it so much. I can tell you later about how she sees the film, how she perceived it. But anyway, we had a fantastic screening, a premiere in Berlin, and then it also screened at public television and on national public television in Germany, and it's also online on the public network platform. And what I can say is we got so many people writing to me and wanting to share their feelings. Many people, especially, well, obviously people who have some connections to relatives or even are Holocaust survivors themselves, but also people who have twins or who are twins, who have twin siblings. So I think it is a very universal story, and people can relate to it. Many people can relate to it. It's not just a Holocaust story. It's a story about belonging and a story about, searching for identity.
Yes, yes, that's it. And I also feel that there are certainly a lot of movies whose themes are the Holocaust, and we've also seen a lot of movies and read books about survivors, but they are older survivors who have been able to tell in their own words what happened to them, how they perceived the history. They were older and they understood it in very different ways. I think it's more recently, clearly, as these children who have survived the Holocaust have gotten older, that we're finally hearing their stories. So not only were they hidden, but their stories were hidden from us. And they are very different. I'm surprised Adam has such a different story. The fact that he was in a concentration camp, was he in Majdanek, I believe?
Yes.
And because children that age, he was 3, if they got to a camp, they were often killed very soon after arriving. So his story is remarkable. His story is remarkable. And Ida's story is the exact opposite, not going to the camps, but being hidden in plain sight in another family. And as twins, having 2 different experiences. It wasn't supposed to be that way. They were supposed to grow up in the same family and have the same experience. I am a twin, and I know the beauty of being a twin now at this age is when we talk about what happened to us years ago when we were kids, it's funny. I'll remember one detail, my twin sister will remember another detail, and then we'll be able to put the story together and say, oh yes, I remember. And as I was watching this, I realized I'm feeling so bad for Adam and Ida, because after the age of 3, they have no childhood memories that are the same. They did not share that. What's also remarkable is the bond that children have, that twins have, that they both felt that something was missing. And
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's universal, but so specific to this story.
Mm-hmm. You're totally right. It was more, especially for Adam, it was more a feeling that something was missing, because he didn't have any memories. His memory set in with the liberation of Majdanek. He remembers that a Russian soldier was finding him in the dirt. He was there. He was left for dead. That's where his memory sets in. So he didn't even remember that he had a sister, but he felt that there's something missing. And Ida, of course, also, she had only little memories, but she felt very strongly that something was missing. And I mean, Ida, in a way, she had a good life. I mean, luckily, she found a very caring family, a Catholic Polish family, saving her life during the Shoah. And She Well, so she did. I mean, she wasn't harmed in any way, but
Right.
but of course, she lost her mother, who committed suicide in the ghetto, and she lost her brother. So she lost her identity. And as a child, I mean, she didn't know the difference between Catholic and Judaism, and she only very late she found out that she actually was Jewish. So she has this feeling, this big regret that she was that her identity was taken away from her. And what I wanted to say is, because you were talking about this generation now, sort of the last remaining generation of people who witnessed the Holocaust themselves, the last Holocaust survivors who are still among us. Um, you know, in many countries, and especially in Germany, of course, we talk a lot about our history, but there's also people claiming more and more that we should draw a line under this chapter of our history, and we should go on with life. And yes, we should move forward, but at the same time, we should never forget, and we should learn from the past. And at least as long as there are people, among us, having survived, having lived during the Holocaust, we should not forget, and we should tell their story. And what really impressed, is that the word impressed or struck me, is that with Adam and Ida, yes, they were so young and they have hardly any memories of the Holocaust, but it influenced, well, it changed their entire life. And if you will see the movie, you can see they are, in a way, they are still broken. They are still fighting the past. Yes, they have found each other, and but maybe that's also the reason why we told the story the way we told it. It's not so much about finding each other. It's about finding back to themselves and finding happiness again. And that is something, well, I'm not sure if they ever found happiness after all that they have gone through. And that is really a point we were trying to make, that we should not draw a line under this chapter. This chapter is not finished. There are people with scars that are still so fresh. And this is sort of the underlying message we would like to bring across with our movie.
Yes. I feel that you express that with that empty chair in the room where you were interviewing Ida first, then Adam, then together. And we noticed 3 chairs. Each one of them are different, beautiful in their own styles and colors. And you have that one empty chair in the back. So for me, first of all, it's Ida trying to find her sister and really bringing those siblings back together. But it's also bigger, like you just said. It's finding that happiness. It is still living the story. It's not over. It's the impact that it had in their lives. And they're searching for their identities, which is the reason why the Shoah happened. We have to erase Jewish identity from Germany, from Europe, and it's all about identity, who we are and how we're viewed, how we view ourselves and how others view us. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the beautiful animation. How did that come about? It's beautiful. It's artistic. The colors are so evocative. The way the animation moves. It's really, really beautiful. So I would love for you to tell us how that came to be as part of telling your story.
Well, it's funny because I've never worked with animation before. I'm not at all any expert when it comes to graphics, graphic illustrations and animations. In all my films before, and I've doing, making films now for 20 plus years or 30 years, getting old, and never used animations. But with this topic, with this story, somehow immediately I thought, yes, that is the means of visualization that we have to use. Because when I talked with Adam and Ida, we had lots of conversations before we even started filming. I realized that so much is sort of in the back of their minds, early childhood memories. Well, you are an expert in this. It's and it's not like a photographic memories they have. They sometimes they remember rather a memory or a feeling than an actual setup of things. So we never wanted to pretend that we know exactly how the ghetto looked like, how the family where Ida was taken into looked like. And Adam, he couldn't describe how Majdanek really looked like. All he could remember, it was very dirty, and he can remember the high shoes, he told, the boots,
Yes.
soldiers' boots. So that's why I thought animations would be a great way to illustrate these feelings. I would say it's more like feelings than actual memories, or memories of feelings. And yeah, so this is how the idea came up. And then I paired with a group of young artists who are actually, for them, it was also the first time they did something about the Holocaust. These young people, these artists, they normally do computer games. So do the
Wow.
illustrations for computer games. And it was really interesting working with them. They could be even from a different generation. They were like between 20 and 30 years, very young. So for them, the Holocaust was even further away than for my
Right.
generation. And they got so captured by the story, and they worked long hours. They worked far more than they actually were supposed to do. They really, bit their teeth into this. And it was a process. It was really a long process. And the way we worked, of course, I had a rough storyline, and we started editing, and we had a rough storyline. But then the cut changed over the month where we were editing, and so I was playing them clips from the movie, and they would interpret a lot for themselves and give their artistic a view into it. So when they heard the interviews, they were trying to visualize what they heard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did they come up with their own color palette? Because I thought that was really interesting. The blues, the purples, some browns. And then you've got the white and the black, of course, but
Mm.
I just thought it was so perfect. I couldn't imagine any other colors. No, we wouldn't want orange and yellows. It's
Well, thank you. Well, I have to give credit to them. They came up with the specific colors. What we discussed in the beginning was that the further back the memories reached, the more more abstract and the more black and whitish and less colors there we would use. And the younger, the fresher the memories are, the more realistic and the more
yes.
colorful the pictures look like.
Yes, it just came across. It really did. Um, and it helped bring us into the thinking of Adam and Ida
Mm.
in very, very beautiful ways. Um, there's one very sort of funny line, very real, when Ida said, oh no, it was Adam who says, so we've known each other now for a while. The first 10 years, oh gosh, I wrote it down in my
I
notes,
know what you're referring to. If I
right?
quote, yeah, he said, she has been a sister. Sorry, she has been an angel for me for 10
Angel,
years, and now she's a sister.
right?
So now she becomes real, and they fight, and actually they did fight a lot, like typical siblings. Yes, but in the beginning
Yes,
it was all like a dream for both of them, I guess. Yeah.
yes. So I wanted to know if when they were talking to each other and during the making of the movie, during the filming, were there any times when you saw them, I don't know, either being surprised by something that they both remembered, um, getting emotional about something that they remembered. And again, it would have to be from when they were under 3 years old. I'm just so curious about that.
Not so much surprise. Sometimes they got into little fights about, like siblings, when they had different memories. I think as for their past and the Holocaust, they have talked about it a few times before. So those stories are known to each other. It's more what was more recent, which became sort of a problem. In the beginning, when Adam moved from Poland, he left his Catholic family.
Yes.
You must imagine he was leading a Catholic life. He had a Catholic wife, 3 sons, always Catholic, and then suddenly he discovered that he's actually Jewish and he has a sister a twin sister in the United States. And since he was feeling this loneliness all his lifetime, he was saying he was leading a wrong life in a way. So anyway, when Ida found him, he was so relieved and he was so overwhelmed that he left his family in Poland and moved to the United States. And in the beginning, they were living like a platonic couple. They were, walking hand in hand down the street. They lived in a shadow house.
Like they were when they were kids. She
Yes,
says that they always used to walk hand in hand when they were children.
hand in hand, yeah. But of course, after some years, reality hit in and they became siblings, not just angels. So they started to fight, and they both had very different characters. Adam is really, it's interesting, since Adam, he went through much worse things with Majdanek, but he's the most generous person in the world. He was so kind. And Ida, she is really tough. She is like, American businesswoman. She was running her own business in Chicago, and she's tough, and she really has Americanized, and that is something she always told us. I wish Adam would Americanize more, and
Right.
Adam was torn in between 2 worlds. He was still
Yes.
sticking to Poland a lot, but of course living in the States already. So he was torn, and Ida wished he would be more American.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole story is for me so powerful, because here I am at my age, and in many ways I feel I have not individuated from my twin, even though I've never lived with my twin in the same city since college. But that individuation and finding one's own identity, and that's without the trauma and of the Shoah, of the Holocaust, as you mentioned. It's so powerful. I really want to thank you for bringing this beautiful story to our attention in such a powerful way, in such an artistic way, that we can really hear it. We have to wrap up in a few minutes, so I want to give you the floor. If there's anything that you would like to tell us, your Floridian audience, your American audience, please, the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you. I mean, you guys are the reasons why we make films, to show it to the world, and especially to such a dedicated audience like yours. And it's a privilege. And of course, I want the film. It's a little, niche art house film, but I want it to be shown as much as possible, because there are definitely lessons learned from history and from listening to people like Adam and Ida. And yeah,
Yes.
and well, thank you very much for watching, for tuning in. And Joy, thank you for this wonderful conversation. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. A pleasure, a privilege to meet you, and thank you so much for sharing about your art, about your life's work. And it's really so meaningful to all of us. And I want to thank everybody again our movie lovers, thank you for continuing to be a part of our festival. Thank you to our sponsors, our community partners, the volunteers who help make this happen. And I want to give a shout out to our SAGE Miami Jewish Film Festival staff. They are amazing. Thank you so much for making this happen. And to Jan Tenhaven, thank you for giving us the gift of movies where we can learn, where we can be inspired. It's truly an honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much.